So big news, obviously, LIV Golf coming here to Michigan. It'll be in Plymouth, Cardinal at St. John's, August 22nd through 24th, 2025, for their team championship. Big event. What do you think?
I mean, I'm not a huge LIV guy. I find it difficult to follow, difficult to watch. Everything along those lines. There's no doubt about it. Maybe as it becomes more of a thing and you do allocate time to watch it on TV, you get more familiar with it, perhaps. But there's no doubt they have big names. They have world-class golfers.
Yep.
And as far as the live event venue and entertainment and all of that, they all do look like a great time. I mean, it looks like they got music going, and all the hospitality looks fantastic and energetic and younger, I would say even. So I think it's a great thing for the community. I mean, it makes you think, honestly, and wonder how there wasn't a golf tournament in the state of Michigan for as long as there was. After the Buick Open left, the Rocket Classic ended up coming back basically 10 years later. I think there was a 10-year gap. It's a massive golf state. So, I love the fact that look, Rocket really has a focus on Detroit, and that's what they want to do. And
which will be earlier in the summer?
It'll be earlier in the summer. Literally, I think almost 2 months to the day.
Right.
Exactly beforehand. That's amazing. But there's a lot of really good golf in Plymouth. There's a lot of really good golf in the suburbs of Michigan as well. And, having played I grew up playing St. John's, the original, short, small property, 27 holes, whatever it may be. They just turned it into this championship
I haven't played
course.
the Cardinal yet.
It's difficult. There's some holes I just simply don't love, quite frankly. But it's in immaculate shape. I mean, they reseeded everything. The greens are immaculate. The visuals and, risk reward and all of that is going to be fantastic. And St. John's in general is just beautiful with the short par 3 course they added, everything that they have. Well, but it'll be really interesting to see how they do that and what they do in the community as well.
So obviously LIV, their 2025 schedule, 14 tournaments worldwide, only 6 of them in the U.S. Obviously they're really focused on worldwide stuff. So the fact that Michigan is one of those 6, and again, the team championship type event, really cool that obviously they were able to negotiate getting it here, and I wonder what all went into that and how they were able to do it, because, it's obviously a newer course since it got, newly reopened or whatever you want to call it, right, when they redid it. So, again, I haven't played it yet. I know you have, but it's been getting a lot of hype, and I think if you live in Plymouth, it's pretty affordable, right?
So they do half membership. I think they have a certain amount of members where you get essentially peak tee times on weekends. They have a certain amount blocked. It's technically a resort.
Right.
Is how they
I've
do
been
it.
to weddings
So
there, yeah.
It's kind of similar to, if you remember, up in Traverse City, Grand Traverse Resort. They have the same thing. It's a certain downstroke to be a member there, and you get peak tee times on the weekends to play the Bear and, et cetera. So that's kind of how they did it. They have a certain amount of members, and then obviously it's open to the public. Their fees are significant. There's no doubt. I think it's $150, $175, just to play it if you're somebody in the public. They have partnerships with, other clubs and, reciprocity and things like that knocks that down quite a bit. But it's a cool place. It really is. I mean, from an entertainment, a social standpoint, with the range, with the short par 3 course, and then the look and the feel and the visual and the greens and bunkers and all of that, it is a championship golf course.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
And it's a Raymond Hearn course. Mm-hmm. Definitely scenic. You can look online and see the hole by hole and whatnot. Over 7,000 yards.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it gives you everything you want from that standpoint.
I'll be very curious to see what guys like that shoot there, because when you look at it, obviously from the black tees, I'm seeing 7,002 yards. Can they stretch it more than that?
I think that they have the ability to stretch a few of the holes a little bit more.
And I'm seeing a rating of 73.3.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be very curious at the guys at that level to see what they shoot there, because that's not exactly I'm not criticizing it at all. That's not exactly sounds like a brutally tough course, but
I'm sure they'll
I'm sure they will.
72 or 73. Yep. And then, honestly, they'll, of course, get the greens rolling. The fairways can pinch a little bit, so I'm assuming they'll build up the rough a little. Look, you're not trying to do a U.S. Open.
Right.
You're still trying to allow these guys to have fun and go low, and that's what people want to see. But, no, it'll be interesting to see how they play it.
So
I think the green complexes are huge. So it's not going to be difficult, in my opinion.
and they'll
for
get
these
the greens
guys.
rolling.
Right. It's not going to be difficult for them to hit the greens. But I do think it's a little difficult to hole putts.
So quick background, the Cardinal, which plays to a maximum of 7,002 yards, rolls across 200 acres of terrain, first championship course to open to the public in Metro Detroit over 2 decades, and is the centerpiece of a golf transformation of the elite St. John's Resort. Again, we mentioned Raymond Hearn, excuse me. And yeah, I think it'll be obviously, like you said, that championship course type phrase. I'd certainly like to play it before. I know I've spoken to a lot of people who have good feedback, and obviously there's, like you mentioned, there are so many great courses in the suburbs here and in Michigan in general. We've talked time and time again about it being such a big golf state. So credit to St. John's for getting it and the Cardinal, and I think it's a great. I mean, what a great way to drive awareness and promote a course that just recently opened and was in the news and was getting a lot of hype and stuff. So credit to them, I will say, for putting pedal to the metal and saying, let's get an event here, and not just any event. This is a big event. Right. I mean, I just where my head goes is just I'm so curious how those negotiations would have been to get. I mean, you have so many incredible courses on this LIV schedule, and for them to get the team championship at the end like that, again, only one of 6 U.S. stops. It's a big deal. That's a really big deal, and you're going to get a lot of guys. I mean, Jon Rahm and Cam Smith and Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau. I don't know how there's not huge crowds out there.
There will be. I mean, flat out. And again, the last few years we talk about, it hasn't been great for the fans. Golf has been, separated, and you have stars here and stars there, and some people don't want to watch that. You don't want to watch this. Signature events versus non-signature events. So it's difficult for the Rocket to get a huge field and get some of those bigger stars to be able to come here to Michigan. This is really a way to bridge the gap as we wait for the U.S. Open at Oakland Hills in 2030, 2029? Or 2032 or something. Yep. Yeah, I mean, we got a long way to wait to be able to see all those stars to come to Michigan. So it's a great opportunity for the fans who, quite frankly, even if you were a normal event, you weren't getting Jon Rahm to Detroit. You weren't getting Brooks Koepka to Detroit. It wasn't going to happen. So for them to be able to get all those names to come to Michigan and get golf fans to be able to go and do that in a great area too. Plymouth is fantastic. Plymouth, Northville, the surrounding area. I mean, there's tons to do. I think it's a great location, cool new venture, obviously with the redesign of the course and everything they're trying to do. It'll be exciting. Honestly, I'll go. Yeah. There's no doubt I'll go.
Well, and you can already place deposits down for Club 54 and for hospitality. I've not been to a LIV event before. I was thinking about going to the one at Trump Doral in Miami, and I ended up just not. But
there was one in Qatar.
Would like to. Yeah.
When you were over in Qatar, there was one there too. But it was not
that was a international series event or Asian
Gotcha.
Tour event. There were a lot of LIV guys that played in it, Patrick Reed, some other people, but that wasn't a LIV Tour event per se. But yeah, I mean, there will be a ton of big names there, a ton. And again, you look at the LIV schedule and what clearly had to go into that team championship, that final event, August 22nd. Because besides that, you have Indianapolis, the club at Chatham Hills, Bolingbrook in Chicago. You have Robert Trent Jones in D.C. You have certainly Trump Doral and of course Florida, Miami. So there's a lot of great courses on here, and I'll be very curious to see what those guys go out and shoot. As we've mentioned, there's been a ton of stuff with LIV. Some people love it, some people hate it, some courses don't want anything to do with it, whatever. So I'm sure it's not exactly easy for some of their negotiations all the time with courses. Now, again, not going to be critical, but I think there's plenty of other courses locally that would play tougher, that would be...
I was just going to ask you, if there was a... Again, it can't just be a championship course. I think there's plenty of championship courses in the area.
Range,
it's parking. It's things to do in the area, hotels, which obviously on Haggerty, that Novi Livonia corridor, if you will, and into Northville and Plymouth and Canton and beyond. There's so many hotels.
There's much more that goes into it.
Ways to get there, right? For sure.
There are a lot of courses. That are PGA Tour. I guess not one. This is PGA Tour, but there are a lot of tour level courses. but those courses a lot of times would never get a tour event, like you said, because parking, because hotels, because proximity. Think about how many courses in northern Michigan would be great for a true test and a tour event. You'd never see a tour event at Crystal Downs or Arcadia Bluffs, whatever. I think they could do some sort of TV type event there, but you'd never see a tour event there. So that's the problem locally, where obviously DGC hosts the Rocket, and they're able to really coordinate the shuttles and the off-site parking and everything like that. I think that you look at other places, like, of course, CCD would certainly be qualified to host one. I think Meadowbrook would be awesome to host one. They've hosted stuff years ago. Orchard Lake, Birmingham, Oakland Hills, of course, would never host a regular tour event. They'll host majors, and that's the type of course they are. So yeah, I mean, that's just off the top of my head locally, I guess.
At the very least, it just speaks to the appetite. Clearly they see value. They see an opportunity to, let's be honest, to make money. It's a business after all. There's no doubt that people want to see these guys play, and they see an opportunity to get some of that market share and get people who are like me, like you. I don't know how much you've watched of LIV. Go to an event, and every time
more
I've
stuff
gone,
online than anything. I'm not turning on TV and watching it.
For sure, and I haven't either. But maybe you go to a live event and you kind of see it in person.
Yeah,
and maybe they get people to all of a sudden the next week you are tuning in, or whatever.
I really wonder. I really wonder with what they're looking at and their decision. And again, I'm sure there's plenty of factors with negotiations with course or whatever. But I wonder if the fact that they've seen some of these, just how passionate some of these Lions games are, and just Detroit sports fans in general with the Tigers run over the years. It's very clear that Detroit fans show out for events like this, and I think that it'll be probably one of the biggest crowds all year that they'll have, because people will go to that, and especially with what Bryson's doing, and that people want to see Brooks. This is the team event, the championship. Detroit just recently set record number for the NFL draft of people just showing up. Mm-hmm. So I would assume that they look at those huge events that Detroit has done the past several years, and credit to us here in the area, and are expecting, hey, you know what, people will show up for that.
I couldn't agree more. Excited to see, honestly. I know they just redid the course, and I'm sure there's still some time. Everything needs to still settle in and grow, and all of that. I'm assuming they're going to be doing a heck of a lot of work over the next, it's only 7 months away, 7.5 months away. So excited to see how it'll present. But man, St. John's, there's a lot of history there. I love that they're trying to elevate it and do more with it.
A ton of weddings too.
So a ton of weddings, a lot of history. And again, the social side of it. I love the combo platter that I'm sure they're going to do some fun things with the short course and get fans involved. And there's a great outdoor patio and putting green, and beer and wine and cocktails and all that, which is a huge part of golf in general, but also of what LIV is trying to do, just be more social and fun.
And I'm trying to think of that weekend too, whether it's stuff downtown or Tigers games, or what would that be, just after the Dream Cruise, right?
Hopefully just after the Dream Cruise, yeah. Although it's in a totally different area, so it doesn't really matter.
What events they could potentially, I'm sure they'll be involved in the community and doing stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's a good time to do it, though. Right before Michigan State start, right before the Lions start. They're in preseason. No one really cares about preseason.
Right.
Yeah, Tigers will be playing, which will be good. But
the Lions sell out preseason games now.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But obviously, guys, comment below if you your thoughts on this. If you plan on certainly attending, and excitement to have LIV here, is very, very big name golfers that'll be here. So if you're a golf fan, it's no doubt exciting, and we'll look forward to it.